Hi, Melita. How are you? I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes, see who's gonna join in. Hey, Steven. What's going on, man? Hey, Leslie. How is everybody doing? Hey, Jeannie. Well, this will be fun. Everybody staying safe? Yeah, it's kind of boring without sports. Well, I'm gonna start. Well, my name is Peter Park. I'm sure you guys know, and I'm the Adaptive Sports and Paralympic Sports Coordinator for the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. And today I'm going to be talking about some parts of my journey from how I got injured to how I ended up at the center, and also will involve a lot of Paralympics and lots of adaptive sports. So if you guys have any questions at the end, feel free to ask any questions about Paralympics or even what goes on, or like the Olympic Village is like, or like what is it like to travel with hundreds of disabled people, or anything that you want to ask. So hey Pam, what's going on? Welcome. So I'm gonna briefly talk about myself. got I'm gonna start with high school. I graduated from high school in California, and I went straight to military. And from the military, I went to the Marine Corps for 4 years. And right after 4 years, I decided to get out and to go to school. And from that, I had a plan to go back to the military after my college year, but during my winter vacation, I had a snowboarding accident, which I ended up breaking my back, which got me in a wheelchair. And after that, I had to go through all the battles just like you guys have, and struggles physically, mentally, and somehow I got out of it. And after all the rehab and surgeries, I came home. And as you probably experienced, coming home was kind of scary. I had no idea how I was gonna live my life and what I was gonna do. So first thing I went back to school to finish my school to get my degree. And that took me about three years. And within 3 years, nobody introduced me to any adaptive sports, which if I still think about it, I'm pretty mad about it because I feel like that could have changed my future. And after school, somehow I met a friend in California who was a wheelchair racer. And he said, "Do you want to try it?" And first thing he told me was, "Most people hate it, and I'm sure you'll hate it." And I got into it, and my first push and my first turn, I crashed, and I instantly loved it. And that's how I started at wheelchair racing. So, what's going on, Gabby? So from there, just started racing, try to get my equipment, which I didn't know how to do because I didn't have any sponsors. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to get the equipment, which was very frustrating. So I had to ask my friend to keep on helping me out, and luckily he helped me out all the way through where I was independent enough and I started my racing career. And from that, I met a good friend at the Olympic Training Center, which back then it was just Olympic Training Center, and now it just became the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. And I had a chance to go work at the Olympic Training Center and got to learn how the big machine operated. And from there, after that was over, which lasted about a year, and I decided to move full-time into an athlete. So I ended up moving to University of Illinois. It was in Champaign, Illinois, which all the wheelchair racers all the top U.S. athletes are produced from University of Illinois. So I decided to move there and train with them. And long story short, I stayed there for 8 years, and I tried out for the Paralympics, which I did not make because it is a very difficult thing to do. And from there, I transitioned into coaching, and from coaching, which got me into the Paralympics and World Championships, and slowly worked my way up to the Paralympic level. And I got my first opportunity, my slot for the Rio Paralympics, which I guess I filled my dream as going to Paralympics, but not as an athlete, but as a coach, which I was still happy about. And still, this day, it's still a somewhat unbelievable thing for me. So from there, I started coaching more, and from coaching, I got to deal with a lot of the top athletes, and then started thinking about, what about the future athletes that needs to grow in this country? So I started getting out of the pro coaching and going more into the communities, which led me to the center. And I did not know what center was until I got here, and I heard about it like probably a month before I came to Tulsa. And to have something like this big, like our center, and for me to not know about it was pretty mind-blowing, because we have everything. We have the facility, staff, members, but I had no idea that it existed, which got me to the point that, if I could help out here, and we have a lot of members that want to get involved and that wants to do more work and get exercise and socialize with friends, and just having a lot of benefit just by going to the center. So I'm glad I'm here, and from here, if I could help you out, whatever you need, just let me know. Then I would try to help you out within my ability. So from here, if you have any questions about my journey or Paralympics or any adaptive sports, just feel free to type in, and I'll try to answer as fast as I can and as detailed as I can. Any questions? Any questions? I know Pam asked earlier on the post about how do you get a coach and how much is it to get or to hire a coach. So for any coaches, that's depending on, I guess, coaches. From my personal experience, I used to pay $200 per month for pro coaching, and that consisted of training a month of schedule every month, and phone conversation, feedback, video feedback, and such things like that. So that costed me about $200, and I don't know what it is right now. I know some of my friends that are coaching, they're charging about $150 to $200 per month. Some people charge a lot more depending on who the coaches are. What's up, Paige? So what is the age range of the Paralympians? From Pam Best. So I know athletes that are competing in their 60s, but it's most of the sports that are not extremely active. I know, like track and field, a lot of the people that are competing are in their 30s, 40s, and 20s, 30s, and 40s, and some 50s. And there are sports like bocce or sports that requires, I guess, less moving around. There are people that are higher up in their 60s and 50s. How many competitions have you been involved in? From Margie. So, working or athlete-wise? So, I've been to three world championships. The latest one was Dubai, and one in Qatar, and one in London, and one Paralympics in Rio, and one Para-Pan American Games in Toronto. How do athletes train and eat? From Gabby. So nutrition is probably one of the most important things for an athlete or any other human being, period, because you have to eat healthy. But for an athlete, I know for an experience, I used to have less calories, meaning I'm gonna lose weight fast and get fit. But when I was doing that, I wasn't gaining or losing any weight, or I wasn't gaining any weight. So my nutrition told me, hey, you have to eat to burn the calorie. You can't just not eat, because your body will think that you're just starving, so they will conserve everything that you have. So you just become stagnant. So what you have to do is every time you work out, you have to eat. Before you work out, you have to eat. And then in between, you have to get proper rest. And then if you have a second workout, like most Paralympic guys do, then you get proper rest, lunch, and then you rest again, and you eat snacks 2 hours before or hour before you work out, and then you go do your second workout, come back, eat so you could get protein back in your body, and then rest. And sometimes some people do take protein drink before they go to sleep, or that's up to them. but you have to eat, and you have to eat, try to eat healthy as possible. Ooh, there's a lot of questions. What is your present involvement, coach and coach or technician? So as coaching, it's mostly giving feedback to the athletes at the moment, because they all have their personal coaches back home, but because they're not at the track present, we're the one who's going to be watching and kind of managing how they're going to race. So we're basically here to give them feedback directly, to give them techniques, or even creating strategies as a racing as a team. So that's what I'm there to do, and support whatever they need. So basically, if they need water or if they need anything to get them prepared, then that's what I have to do. As a technician or mechanic, I mostly deal with racing wheelchairs. So every time the chair goes bad, or if the athlete thinks there is something wrong with the chair, or I check it periodically so that every machine is working perfectly. And if there is a big crash, which usually happens in every competition, then I'm there to put the chair back as fast as possible and as perfect as possible. And if not, then I have to find somewhere to fix it, or some other way to get it fixed before the next competition. So Pam's question is, how long would it take for a person like me to get healthy enough to play? So first thing is, you don't have to be healthy to play, and you could play first, and that will eventually make you get healthier. And along with diet, what you put in your body is what you get. So try to eat healthy as possible and exercise much as possible, but not killing yourself, and knowing how your body operates. For instance, like, oh, I'm having a little pain in my wrist. Never mind, I think I could just push through it. But in actuality, you should sit back and say, oh, it's hurting. How is it hurting? And actually think about, why is it hurting? And sometimes it's better to step back and just reassess, and the rest is also a very good thing. So get much rest as you can, and also be as active as possible. Skittles are fine once in a while. Is Paralympic only for spinal injuries? From Pam Vest. And what can I do? Actually, let me answer the first one. It's not. It's all physical disabilities. So spinal cord injury is one of them. Most people do think they're just spinal cord injuries because they see wheelchairs, but it's not, as you know. So CP, visual impairment, anything that has to do with physical disability, you could participate in Paralympics. What can I do or work towards? Pam Vest. Personally, I would go push out in the parking lot, because you have a parking lot right in front of the building, and a slight uphill and downhill that you could work on. And that's what I would do first thing, Pam. Just go out and push up and down the hill, or just push along the sidewalk, and try to get as much as wheelchair mobility experience, as well as getting your strength up. And have a lot of water next to you, and sweat as much as, just try to sweat. Like, sweating is good. Work out. It's pretty hot and nice these days, so go outside and just push around. Take some water, push around, drink some water, push uphill. Do that about 5 times, you know. Any other questions? If not, I am going to end my session. Oh, one more question. Two more questions. What are the sports involved in Paralympics? Pam, I can't answer all of them, to tell you the truth, because I can't remember all of them. But if you look up Paralympics.org, they will have everything that you need to know about what sports they have. But on top of my head, I can't tell you. Sorry. How important is form and technique during training? That is a great question. So, technique is most important. Form is also just as much as important as technique, because they kind of both come with each other. So, when I first started wheelchair racing, I looked at every single video that was on YouTube. I still do, just to see which form looks the best and which form I could mimic within my physical ability. So I looked at somebody that had a little bit higher function than me, but I wanted to look good in a racing chair, which meant I wanted to sit as flat as possible, because most of the guys with higher level injuries that have less function, we tend to sit with our knees a little bit higher, so we have more balance. But doesn't look all that great. And technique-wise, it doesn't really translate, because a lot of the standard comes from the perfect form. So I pushed myself to get there, and I thought with my physical ability, I pushed it to the limit that it looks good enough, and I could also try to mimic the perfect technique as possible. So, and if you don't have the technique, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Power will only get you up to a certain level. But if you master the technique and power, then you could maximize whatever you're doing. So technique, yes, it matters a lot. And the form, it definitely matters a lot, especially if you want to look good while you're doing it. Pam's question is, how do I keep from giving up due to pain or loss of energy, or even failures? So that's a really good question. So how do you push yourself? So Pam, for everybody, so basically you have to know your body well enough to know this pain is not something that I can push through. So if my heart is beating fast when I'm running, and like my arm feels like it's about to fall off, but you know it's not gonna fall off, but you still kind of worry about, oh, my heart is beating too fast. So you have to know your body well enough to say, I'm gonna stop now. Or you could push it a little bit, step by step. Say if you could climb, for example, you could climb the hill 3 times right now, and you want to try to climb it 4 times, and you tried it once and it was very difficult to do, then you don't have to go all the way up. So you could just do halfway up and try to increase it little by little. And it's not something that will come instantly. That's something that you have to work on for days and weeks, periodically, with schedule, because you have to train your body that, oh, like I'm in the workout mode, and oh, I'm off workout mode, which your body will get used to as you do more and more. So pushing through is hard, but if you push through little by little and just try to increase your pain tolerance, then I think that will help you a lot. Failure, and if there's no failure, life will probably be like just handy and fun, I guess, in sports. But then there is no challenge. Like, you have to fail to accept the challenge and push back to the challenge and try to do better. at it. And I failed numerous times as an athlete because every time you don't win, you were failing. But you still learn from it and what I did wrong. Like, I could analyze what I've done wrong and how my mindset was back then, and I could try to improve it next time a little bit better. Like, my mindset could be a little bit better, or I could get ready physically a little bit better. So if you look at it in a positive way, then you could always push through and overcome your failure. All right, guys. I think that's all the questions I have. So, well, thank you for your time, and hope everybody's doing well, and hope this helped. And if you have any more questions that you could think of, just feel free to write them down in the comment. I'll try to answer them as fast as possible, and hope everybody's doing well, and see you guys later.